What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video in the next episode of the MotoGP 25 career mode for part number 18 today, the Indonesian Grand Prix at the Pertamina Mandalika circuit. And well, if you missed the last episode back in Japan, I recommend you go back and check that one out because it had a little bit of everything. It was a survival mission, it must be said, and it was a survival mission that we concluded in P4, injected a huge dose of points for our championship attack, but drama as crashes for Rueda, Piqueras, Quiles, Munoz, and a bit of a difficult race for Adrian Fernandez means that we are 26 points clear of the Moto3 World Championship coming into this weekend here in Indonesia, and it's going to be a weekend that I think we might struggle at. We've not had the pace around Indonesia in the past, and it's going to be a track I think that we might have a little bit of more of a difficult time at, and one that we need to try and potentially limit the damage done in the championship. But we'll have to wait and see. Down into the right-hander of the penultimate corner is a little bit wide there into turn 16. And then we open up turn 17 through the left-hander. We get on the power and we drive towards the line in the slipstream of Nicolo Carraro to try and just grab a tenth or two. And across the line, it's a 36.963. And a pretty solid opening lap, which actually leaves us top of the practice times, which is a little bit surprising, really, for myself. But you can see how close it is. 0.4 of a second. Separating all the way down from 1st to 19th. And literally, as we've seen so many times in this Moto3 World Championship, a tenth is all it takes, really, to be within a good position or not. But we're going to have our work cut out now, because as we head into Q2 here in Mandalika, the rain is falling, and it's going to be a very, very difficult time here on Saturday afternoon. So down towards turn number 1 for the first time. We've got a couple of riders coming out the pits. Furusato and Nepa, the two podium finishes back in Japan. Furusato getting close to the back as we drift our way across the nose of the 658 rider, and now through the first sector we're going to try and just work our way through, but then we pick up an invalidation as we cut over the inside curb. So a little bit frustrating coming out with riders coming out the pit lane there, and kind of not really getting in the way, but just acting as a little bit of a distraction, and then we end up having to relinquish the lap. But anyway, let's go again on the second time of asking. We've got Furusato ahead of us. He should be a good marker, really, for us in this session in these challenging conditions. We know that in the past, if you've been a long time follower of this series that seems to be going on forever, I know, we haven't been very, very quick in the wet at all. We've never had a good feeling. We've never found a base setup for the wet, and we just never really get the result. But this lap doesn't seem to be too bad. We've lost a couple of tenths, I'd say, to Furusato, who runs really, really wide. I don't even think Furusato is on a lap, is he? Or he might be on a lap, but it doesn't matter anyway, because Matteo Bertelli has crashed out of the lap and has invalidated our second lap. So frustrating again, as we've got to go for a third time, which might not actually be too bad, because we'll be able to continue building into it and finding the feeling in these tricky conditions as Furusato runs wide again at that penultimate corner. But he seems to carry the speed, so maybe that line is the way to go, taking a higher, wider line through penultimate corner in these challenging conditions. We get right up on the curve on the exit of the final corner. As we cross the line, it's going to be P14 relegated to P15 as the rider behind crosses the line, and as we come through towards the end of our next lap and final lap of the session, it's going to be what is probably P17, because we need half a second to Eddie O'Shea, and this lap is only a tenth and a half quicker than our personal best lap. Now down in towards turn 15 for the final time in this Q2 session. A bit neater and tidier this time from us, and a little bit quicker, so hang on a minute, we might be able to just pinch 16th from Eddie O'Shea as we come through the final corner, but we run wide on the exit and the lap is gone, and it's not going to be any real form of improvement. We do improve our time, but not in place, and unfortunately it's going to be a P17 start with Piqueras, Fernandez and Foggia filling out the front row. Rueda there heading row 3 with his teammate Munoz. So there's the kind of main championship protagonists. And then we're down all the way in P17 with work to do in the Indonesian Grand Prix. Guido Pini, he was victim to an early crash in the challenging conditions and then set a lap. But we know what we need to do here in Indonesia, and that's go forward.
Good morning and welcome to the Mandalika circuit. We are live at the Indonesian Grand Prix, one of the most exotic locations in the entire season. Just a few more moments and we'll switch to the starting straight for the Moto3 class race.
So here we go then. First we in the Mandalika circuit, the venue of the Indonesian Grand Prix, and this time, unlike qualifying, we are under beautiful blue skies and much better conditions, where hopefully we'll be able to kind of kindle that practice pace that we had and hopefully challenge near the front. But we'll have to wait and see as we head towards the Indonesian Grand Prix. Here's Adrian Fernandez, our title rival, one of 4 title rivals really, because Munoz still isn't out of contention just yet. Cormac Buchanan, someone who has been hitting a little bit of form of late, unfortunate to crash out in Japan, as was a lot of people, but all eyes are on us, and can we go forward in this Indonesian Grand Prix?
With the sighting lap safely negotiated, the lights will go out in a few seconds and the Indonesian Grand Prix will get underway.
So, number 36 on the MT Helmets MSI bike, it's Piqueras on pole. The yellow 31 at the front of the Leopard of Fernandez in second, and Cormac Buchanan in third. As we go racing in Indonesia, it is not a good start as we run into the back ever so slightly of Pini. There's a couple of riders also rolling off the throttle there as we peel in towards turn number 1. We're up into P13, and as Eddie O'Shea runs a little bit wide on the exit of turn 1, we get through on him, and also Joel Kelso as we now try to work our way ahead of David Munoz, but no way through. As we go through this little zigzag section, we do get the inside line though, and we find our way through on Moodley and Munoz. And look who's ahead of us, Cormac Buchanan, who has had an absolute shocker start from the front row of the grid. His teammate comes flying back through, Ruchi Moodley. We're going to look for a way back through, but no way there. We're going to line up a switchback instead, carrying the momentum, and we do get back up into P9. So back ahead of Moodley, but Buchanan has had a stinker of a start. He's behind Rueda, and it means that Adrian Fernandez leads the way with Foggia in second and Angel Piqueras in third. And we've already got a bit of work to do because the gap had opened up, and as we come to the end of lap number 2, we've been able to close that gap and squeeze our way up the inside of Cormac Buchanan. There wasn't much of a gap, but there was a bit of a gap, and we've managed to get through. So Cormac showing that the wet weather conditions more up his street and is struggling for a bit of pace in these dry conditions. A bit of dry weather pace, not in Buchanan's locker this weekend here in Indonesia. But as we make our way through the first sector, we're going to try and line up a move on Carpe with no way through on him just yet. Rueda has worked her way up into P6 with I think Almanza ahead of him, and then might be Bertele in 4th. I can't quite see from here. As we look again up the inside of Carpe, we're going to now do the switchback, exactly what we did to Moodley a couple of laps ago, and we're up into P7, and now we can look at this train of top 6 riders as we head into turn number 16. There's a mistake from Almanza, who run into the back of Quiles, it is, at the front of this field. We get a switchback underneath Almanza side by side with our rival's teammate in this one, and we do get ahead of the second Leopard Honda and up into P6, and in the process set the fastest lap of the Indonesian Grand Prix so far. So we do have pace here at the Mandalika circuit. It's just a case of picking our way through our rivals as quick as possible, because it is quite difficult to make an overtake around here when everybody is quite similar pace. As we head through turns 3 and 4, we're going to try and open the corner up turn 5, carry the momentum through and see if we can work our way forward as the clouds gather above this Indonesian venue. Are we going to get a threat of rain on this final lap? I wouldn't rule it out here in Indonesia, but as we come across the line to start the final lap of the race, you can see the championship standings on the right-hand side of the screen. 20 points the gap to Becerras. It will come down 6 points if it was to finish like this. Fernandez, who is second in this race, he will be third. However, should he get ahead of Foggia on this final lap, it will be all square for second in the Moto3 Championship with 20 points separating the top three. But Fernandez knows what he's got to do on this final lap, and that is to beat the Italian of Dennis Foggia on that Aspar bike, a man who has been consistently at the front, it feels like. Every time I seem to record an episode of this series or do a voiceover or an edit it, Foggia's name is always somewhere near the front, but he's not in championship contention, is the number 71 Aspar rider. But as we drop now in towards turn 10, a little bit deep on the brakes, we do claw back a bit of time to Rueda, but we lose pretty much what we gained in towards turn number 10. Now through turn 11, now we flick it left through turn 12, carry the momentum, and we might just, if we can keep building and building, might be in a position where we can have a look at Rueda in the final corner. But it depends how we do through this 14-15 section. It's 7/10 of a second the gap, and I don't think we're going to be able to find 7/10 of a second on the brakes into here to maybe then open up a move at the final corner. In turn, Rueda goes up the inside. Foggia is wide as well. Rueda's looking for Quiles. There's no way through on him. Foggia is going to maintain the lead. We're going to try and get the drive and the exit to try and get ahead of Rueda and claw away into the top 5. It's not to be. Foggia wins. Fernandez is second, and Becerras comes home in third, and it is going to be a 20-point lead in the Moto3 Championship as we head into Australia. Quiles 4th, Rueda 5th, we're 6th ahead of Almanza, Carpe, Moodley, and Kelso rounds out the top 10. So not ideal, losing a little bit of points. However, it could have been a whole lot worse as we go in towards Australia. 20 points clear at the top of the Moto3 World Championship. Rueda 58 back, Munoz 85 back. So it feels like now really going into the final kind of 4 races of the year, it's just between the top 4, with Rueda a little bit of an outsider at this stage in P4 in the championship. In terms of the team's championship, that's how that looks, with MSI leading Leopard by 28 points. But there we go, the Indonesian Grand Prix done and dusted. Another one ticked off the list, and we've got to choose our rivalry. And I think for the final couple of races of the year, it is only fitting that we go with Adrian Fernandez, the man who gives us the evils every time he's around us on the track and really makes his presence known around the racetrack. Becerras and the Red Bull KTM IO coming up in the little phone messages there. And then we're going to take a look at what's going on around the grounds, as they say, in Moto2. Aaron Canet leads the way by 5 points over Manuel Gonzalez, with Diogo Moreira on the Italtrans bike there in third. Marcos Ramirez 4th. And in MotoGP, it's Pecco Bagnaia who leads the way. A huge 299 points clear of Alex Marquez in third, who has got Fabio Quartararo breathing down his neck. Just 2 points ahead of the Frenchman is the Gresini rider. But it looks like it's going to be a battle of the factory Ducatis, with 4 points separating them too. But there we go. That is it for the end of round 18, the Indonesian Grand Prix. If you guys enjoyed, hit a like button, hit subscribe, and I will see you with a brand new video, the Australian Grand Prix, coming your way very soon. Until then, thank you for watching, and goodbye.